Did you guys have fun? Oh my gosh, how was it? So, was it worth the money, eh? And these are all the questions that we've been getting bombarded with ever since we got back from the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser Experience over there at Disney World in Orlando, Florida. And stick around because in this video, I'm going to give you my honest paying customer opinion on the entire experience and if it's worth the huge price tag of $6,000. I'll be giving you a quick rundown and my thoughts and review on a lot of the parts of the experience, like the room, the food, the lightsaber training, and all of it included. So don't go anywhere, guys. Yeah! Hey guys, thank you so much for clicking on my video. This is Finding the Force, making videos and covering everything Star Wars. Have kind of a soft spot in our hearts for lightsabers. My name is Obi-Dad Kenobi. Hello there, everyone. And I will be flying this mission solo to bring you guys my opinion on spending we spent $7,000 between the 5 of us, and tell you guys what we thought about the food, the room, the entertainment, and all of it, our honest paying customer opinion. So let's get started. Yeah. Let me start this video by thanking my wife. Sweetheart, thank you so much for letting Landon and I go on this trip and get to experience this, to bring all this cool footage for you guys to see. So thank you, dear. Love ya. So guys, first things first, I don't really think anything I'm going to say is going to spoil the trip for anyone going. We all know that the captain is blue, that Rey and Kylo Ren are going to be on the ship, and there are a lot of new characters on this Star Wars adventure. So, you know, sharing with you guys what happens, I personally don't think is going to spoil the trip. On the contrary, I think that hanging out with me, listening to my opinions on all parts of this adventure are going to just give you more of an insight and prepare you for the trip to make sure you're ready for it. You know, it's not like a murder mystery dinner or something. I'm not going to spoil who did it, you know, in the kitchen with the candlestick or whatever. Let's have a little heart-to-heart. Something you have to bring with you on the trip to have a really good time, in my opinion, is a good attitude. Star Wars fans sometimes can be some of the hardest fans to really please, and especially when it comes to the films, because all of us have such emotional ties. So I'll start by saying, you guys probably know if you've been watching our videos for a while that my favorite trilogy of Star Wars is the original trilogy. I love the feeling of the 70s. I love how everything was handmade. And I've asked Landon what his is, and his favorite trilogy is actually the prequels. I think that the bad guys look so creepy and evil, like Darth Maul and evil Darth Sidious, evil Palpatine are some of his favorite bad guys. And so how do we feel about the sequel films? And just put it really simply that this is what we have. This is what we were given from Disney. And even though there's parts of it that I'm not crazy about and Landon's not crazy about, but I think both of us just decided that there's a lot of good things about the sequels. There's a lot to enjoy. The music of John Williams. Force was used in ways we've never seen it before. Even Star Wars Theory has said in one of his videos that Kylo Ren is one of the parts of the sequels that he likes. I have not found someone who says that they don't like his awesome side-vented flame red lightsaber. The action, the special effects, I mean, there's something I think for everyone to enjoy if you choose to enjoy it. Landon and I both choose to have a positive attitude and enjoy the films for what they are, which really helped us and allowed us to enjoy this experience because it takes place in that time period. And if there's one film I think that really inspired the whole Galactic Starcruiser experience, it's The Last Jedi. Everything from the costumes and the ships totally feels like the essence and the theming of the Galactic Starcruiser. Your first experience on the Galactic Starcruiser is the launch pod. And as you can probably tell if you've seen any footage from it, no one has their luggage. Your luggage magically gets whisked away to your room. You know, it's a small pod and everyone has to kind of fit in there and there's no room for luggage to be crammed in there with you. And I didn't feel anything. I didn't really feel like an elevator was moving or it was a simulator. I was kind of enjoying how there was 2 views of how you're like leaving Earth and shuttling up into space. But I kind of was hoping it would be more of a simulation, but I understand that we're all standing there. They can't have it rocking and jolting or everyone's gonna fall on the floor. So it was very gentle. But I think now would be a good time to mention that at no point in the experience did I feel claustrophobic. I didn't feel dizzy or anything like that. I don't know how much they were able to have an effect on our senses with whether it was the architecture or anything, but I never had those feelings personally, including the transport to Galaxy's Edge. I never felt panicky or claustrophobic or dizzy or anything like that you would think of not being able to see outside in your own hotel room. Never felt that way. So I thought I would let you guys know about that. You know, the launch pod up to the Halcyon is a really, I think, an interesting and creative way to start your experience and open you to the Grand Atrium, which is totally Disney style, by the way, if you haven't caught on. Every time that you walk into a hotel or a cruise, you walk into a big grand reveal of the entrance. So it's Disney style, it works. They don't want to start your trip by you feeling queasy and seasick and stuff, right? So why don't we start with the room aboard the Halcyon Starcruiser? And I did make a fun video kind of showing and exploring the room. I'll put that down in the description. But I was so surprised that all 5 of us fit in the room comfortably. Now, granted, we did have one corner of the room that was kind of dedicated towards all of our luggage and stuff. So we didn't really bring out the table and chairs under the awesome window into space, which was one of the coolest parts of the room that throughout your voyage, which is really only like kind of a day and a half. Like, oh, I hate to say it, but you can't really board the ship until 1 p.m. on that day. You can go and drop off your luggage at 11, but 1 o'clock is when you can actually board the ship. And that's like half of your day is over. So it's really 2 nights, 1.5 day experience, to be honest with you. But yeah, between the 5 of us, we each had like 10 bags of luggage. They were all kind of crammed in that corner under the awesome window to space. So cool fun fact is that your window to space will constantly be changing, and you'll see those planets like go by, and you'll see starships, and if anyone on the bridge like sends it into hyperdrive, then you'll see the like hyperdrive blue flames like flying by your window. So that's probably one of the coolest parts, was the window onto space. And that also brings me to one of the biggest critiques I have about the room, is that we all were excited at the thought of sleeping with our heads nestled and being able to look out into the galaxy and the stars. But unfortunately, that's not really a good idea, because there are these big, bright lights completely surrounding the window. And your window has 2 choices. Either it's open and on, or it's off and everything is pitch black so you can sleep. There was no option to look out into space without being surrounded by the bright lights. So I really wish we could have done that. Another thing I wish I had done more was talk to the logistics droid D309.
Hello and welcome aboard.
And you have your own droid in the room, and she can like send you on missions depending on what path you take. And she like was super interactive, and just the trip seemed like it was so short. It flew by so fast. I didn't have enough time to really talk and interact with her. But one night she actually told us a bedtime story. It was hilarious. It was the story of Star Wars, which she tells making R2-D2 the hero. Wildly original, super cute and funny, recorded the whole thing. That was a super unique part of a hotel room that you're never gonna see anywhere else. But overall, the room was themed just like a Star Wars Starcruiser. And people say that this experience doesn't look or feel like Star Wars. Maybe even on Coruscant, you finally see more sleek designs, more to where you kind of see nicer things, because so much of the films is taking place on Tatooine, where everything's run down and dirty and made of clay. So, this is really like a high-end Starcruiser. And I thought your room reflected the ship. Every inch of it was themed. Take a look at our video if you want to see all the details. But I still cannot believe that I fit in the bunk bed. I'm 6'2". I fit in the bunk bed, and I fit on the trundle, like the hideaway bed that folded out at the foot of the queen bed. Both super big, good sizes. And the 5 of us are 3 shipmates with Lanakin and I. Are Scott, the Disneyland nurse. Yvonne is Mick and Minnie's Instagram adventures, and then Janelle is fun Disney IG name here on the screen. And so they were our shipmates, and we couldn't have asked for a cooler, nicer group of people. We got along great, and there was no drama for your mama, stuff like that. Another cool detail about the room is that it was neat having your door open sideways, kind of futuristic, and they did have a separate vanity area outside the bathroom area. So someone could be getting ready in that space if someone was in the restroom doing their business, right? So that was cool. They did have a safe, which I think I covered in the video, and also like the smallest mini fridge I've ever seen. So room, 5 people, dare I say, comfortably, but we had enough space for all of us and our stuff. That's the room. Okay, next let's talk about the food. It was awesome. It was great. Gosh, I think those chefs did a fantastic job theming and finding creative colors and textures. Everything was themed. Everything that they had there was themed to the point where, I mean, okay, the waffle was shaped like a waffle. I'll give them a break, okay? Something you should know if you're bringing younglings like my little Lanakin, that, younglings will not go hungry. They will do whatever they had to do to feed them. And so, some of the food looked a little strange and he was kind of weary because he's only 7 years old. For one of his meals, instead of having French fries, there was like one giant waffle looking French fry. It was kind of crazy. And they had like the space equivalent of mac and cheese. So stuff kids are not going to go hungry on the ship, but I mean, all the food you could eat. They could bring out multiple entrees if you wanted. I'm not a foodie, but I know that this food was like prepared gourmet. The first thing that comes to mind was like the bantha steak that we had our first night. Was cooked to perfection. It was juicy, delicious, definitely gourmet, high-end food. Of course, we had lunch. Like right when we boarded the ship, we went to the lunch buffet, and there was again tons of unique themed food. Like the fruit was kind of in neat shapes, and they had like sweetbread, lots of different choices and options to try. They also had blue and green milk, all you could eat. I mean, you don't want to make yourself sick and be stuck in the cabin, and I gotta tell you guys, our first night was the Gaya performance. I'll get to that in a minute. And the food was delicious, and they had everything, colors and shapes and textures, and nothing was gross. Everything I thought was cooked well, and they had a huge variety. But our second night was our taste around the galaxy. Feel free to check out our haul video. I'll put that at the very end of the video. And I have our menu here. We tasted foods from Kashyyyk, Felucia, and Mustafar. So before our first course, the chef comes out, and I don't even know how they did this, but there was this waft, this huge wall of this beautiful scented air, this delicious like vanilla scent, and it just hit us all at once, and it smelled so good. And that's how they wanted to cleanse our like sense of smell and taste before the meals. And it was just really a neat experience, and no complaints. Nothing was cooked weird. And even my shipmates is a vegan, and so she had special dietary needs, and that was no problem. They were met, and she was satisfied. And there was a couple little mishaps with some of the staff that were just trying to give her more food. But for the most part, our server was fantastic, and they were aware of her dietary preferences and very attentive to them.
You've been training.
So now I'm going to talk about the entertainment and also the story between all these new characters. Just so you guys know, the story of the Halcyon, it takes place between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, because they need Kylo Ren. We all know he kind of like goes away in The Rise of Skywalker, so they need him. He's like a fan favorite character. So that's the timeline of the story that you're on in the Star Wars universe. Gosh, I gotta be honest with you guys, the actors were fantastic. And I've been posting videos of all the major shows, Gaya's performance, and like the opening muster where they introduce all the characters, and all the actors were great. How committed these actors were to their characters. They were, and I mean, the Captain Keevan, she's blue. I mean, she's completely decked out in paint blue. She had contacts in. These people must go through hours of makeup every day before they board the ship, and then they're in character all day long. And I think that probably has a lot to do with the price, which I'll get to towards the end of the video. Owani was like this full, she's the same kind of species as Greedo, the bounty hunter, and they did a fantastic job. Her face was super expressive. Captain Keevan, Sammy the mechanic, I tried to capture the fun and immersion of the story aboard the ship, but nothing feels like actually being there. Seeing it from my camera, I did my best, audio and video and capturing everyone talking. But when you're there and you're surrounded by the characters who are talking from different points in the hall, and you feel the energy of all the Star Wars fans and what's going on the ship, it's a better and more fun experience than what you can maybe see on your phones, watching YouTube right now. But I did my best. The stormtroopers were fun, and if you hung out in the atrium, you would kind of bump into any one of the characters, like Gaya's manager, Wraith Cole. All of them would kind of hang out and take turns, Lieutenant Croy of the First Order, and they would kind of be mingling and wandering the ship, always in character all the time. It'd be really difficult for an actor to be in character for that long. Like when you go to Disney parks and you see the princesses and the characters, they're in character for like an hour, and then they, get to go rest, or they get swapped out or take turns, whatever they do, but not like all day and performing all these different performances happening one after another. That's got to be pretty challenging. So my hat's off to them. I think they did a great job. I do have to say that, let's say that after the first day of our trip, I turned to Scott and I said, does this feel like Star Wars to you? Or does this feel like we're on a cool space adventure hotel? And it was more of the second day that finally gave me the warm, fuzzy Star Wars feelings, because we get to see and hear from C-3PO and R2-D2.
Yes, I am C-3PO, human cyborg relations.
And we also, as a part of the bridge experience, we get to see and pirate from the Clone Wars and the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run.
Almost there. It's flying right beside you.
Wonderful.
The autopilot is not too shabby, my friend.
Hondo Ohnaka, so there's another familiar face, because you need those old familiar faces to remind you of the Star Wars memories that you have while you're meeting new characters and everything, right? But the story definitely came full circle finally when Rey boarded the ship, and I can't wait to post that video of when, because we followed on our adventure the path of the Jedi, and we unlocked opening the holocron with Rey, and that was just really fun. And we were in this room, and you were there, and you heard Yoda's voice.
You have been strong with the Force, you are.
And so finally, when we met Rey and she boarded the ship, and there was this epic lightsaber battle. They did a fantastic job, you guys. The choreography, sure, Rey swapped out her lightsaber, whatever. You don't want to think about that. You want to believe it and have a good time. And the choreography was awesome. Seeing Kylo Ren pulling down something in the atrium, and it was just being in the middle of a stage show. That's really when it felt like I was in Star Wars and not just a space adventure, which you kind of feel like, I think, the first day, not really getting to interact with old characters, but meeting new ones like the Saja, the Lightsaber Training Saja, Force and Lightsaber Expert, or, and the Captain and the Director, and meeting the new droid and stuff, a lot of new characters. So I think that would be one criticism I would have is, there was Chewbacca. Chewbacca made appearances, he was around, he was working a part of the story. So thanks to Chewbacca, who single-handedly was kind of carrying the Star Wars spirit until we saw more characters our second day personally, he really helped out a big deal. But if there's any way they can incorporate the older story or older characters in to that first day, it'd really help get the immersion and the Star Wars feelings of the experience going a lot sooner. All right, guys, so I can't forget to mention one of the more controversial entertainment pieces of Gaya. It was poor Gaya and her performance that Disney actually took that video down because of all the bad publicity and the bad reactions that they were getting from fans. So when it was Gaya's night and we're on the Starcruiser, I was kind of bracing myself, and I gotta be honest with you guys, it was a lot of fun. I think this woman did a fantastic job. She's wearing full makeup, this Twi'lek headpiece, and she sang beautifully and really made it, she was a great entertainer. She made it a lot of fun, and as you can see, the whole room was up dancing. Everyone was enjoying themselves. I think she put on a great show and really surprised us. I posted a video from her performance microphone, and I think it might have picked up her voice more than like the overall ambient background music. If it really did the audio justice using a shotgun mic, I almost wish I would have used the microphone on my camera because I think it sounded better, like this footage here. So now I'll talk about your own adventure that you go on when you're on the Galactic Starcruiser. The idea of your story is that you have your own data pad, and this is your data band. You're making choices and you're doing missions and helping or not helping certain people, and that is how you direct your path. You can choose the First Order, the Resistance, the Jedi, smugglers, and there might have been a fifth path, I forget. You know, having your own Star Wars adventure that you are seeking out and doing missions and exploring the ship and everything really made the experience, because without it, I think you would just be kind of bored sitting around and looking at stuff in the atrium, not having much to do, which you can do, but there was a lot to explore. And I think the ship was just the right size for exploration too, because again, if they had a bigger ship, I think I would have felt lost and felt like I missed out on exploring more of the ship with only a day and a half experience. And if it were smaller, I think we could have been bored. So I think it was actually just the right size. So a lot of the development in which path you take happened on Galaxy's Edge. And I'll talk about Galaxy's Edge here in a minute. Okay, so before you go, I think it's worth giving it some thought about which story you want to pick before you go on your adventure. You really want to try to focus on that path that you want to seek out and explore, because it takes some time to do all those missions so that you can unlock that really neat story ending on that end of your second night there. And so ours was the Jedi. There's so many different situations and scenarios that you get to see with the different paths. It really makes you want to come back again, knowing that there was so much you didn't get to do. Kind of like the Disney parks. You can't ride everything your first trip and go on all the different attractions and experiences. So fun fact, guys, if you go back on the Starcruiser and choose the same path, all the different tasks and missions are randomized and changed, and you'll probably have a lot of new ones. So it really makes it fun if you want to return and choose a similar path. Although I have to tell you guys that starting the trip, I was feeling super overwhelmed. And our data pads, we were having issues, and everyone else around me was like exploring the ship and getting into the cargo hold and unlocking all this stuff. And our stuff wasn't being activated or triggered the right way. So it was kind of a little stressful, and I felt kind of bummed. But we finally got on track, mostly at Galaxy's Edge. Right when you board the ship, they have kind of an easy seminar to catch in the atrium about how to navigate your data pad. It's not just about how to operate an iPhone, it's about they educate you on how to make choices and really minimizes the chance of problems that you have when you're kind of exploring your own adventure. How to complete missions. And actually, one question, if any of you guys are out there and you've been on the trip, is it possible to talk to the different characters in the ship and complete a mission without having to tap on your phone? If you know, comment down below. I talked to the Saja and said, I want to help the Jedi, what can I do? So I went to Lieutenant Croy and talked to him, and he told me to find out what I could about Lanka Mock in exchange for information. But I mean, I'm there filming and I have my 7-year-old, so I didn't get to really get to finish that storyline, but I have a feeling that I might have been able to finish a mission if I were to have helped those people. And so then I'll also talk about the transport, also known as the refrigerated truck that you take to Galaxy's Edge. I made a separate video about it, and I think I talked on the camera a little bit, but it was great. It was fine. There was no show or screens showing you or talking you through it. There was no host or like robot doing a little song and dance or anything. It was just a transport. It was perfectly themed to Star Wars. I was paying really close attention to, can I feel bumps? Can I feel turns? And I only maybe felt a turn like one time. And other than that, it was a smooth ride, and it was very soft and kind of bouncy like this. Everybody had their phones out, you know, and it was a really smooth transition. And I'll be honest with you guys, I was enjoying it, and I was in it with my son. Probably the best flowing of immersive magic of Disney that I've ever felt, going from the Halcyon Starcruiser into the transport, and then walking through your own tunnel, and then coming out into Galaxy's Edge. That's what I was getting at, is like any other experience with Galaxy's Edge, you walked through Main Street, you've walked through Frontierland or the jungle of Adventureland, and then you get to Galaxy's Edge. So this was a really neat experience to go from Star Wars into Star Wars. Galaxy's Edge, you know, talking with Scott, Disneyland Nurse on Instagram, we were talking to each other, trying to prepare for this trip. We both were in agreement, like, hey, let's just skip Galaxy's Edge. We've done Galaxy's Edge, we've ridden the attractions. There's no reason to spend our time there when you can be up on the ship. You know, that's where we really want to spend time and relax and enjoy. Comment down below, when you guys have gone to Galaxy's Edge, do you ever use the Play app? Do you use the data pads on your Play app and hack all the boxes to unlock and find stuff? You can also go on missions to help the Resistance or the First Order, so you can kind of play a little bit in the land and not just buy popcorn and keychains. But we were so distracted, we were on a scavenger hunt. And we were trying to complete missions for the Captain Kevin or for Sammy and mostly the Saja for the Force and the Jedi. We were kind of walking all over. We were hacking crates. We were decrypting signals. And it was a lot of fun, actually. It was a fun scavenger hunt in Galaxy's Edge. And they gave us these pins, classy pins I showed you guys. I showed this off on the haul that we did. And that you could wear on your shirt so the cast members know, okay, don't kick them out. They're just scanning some boxes, you know, let them finish. You go on this trip, you're going to want to go to Galaxy's Edge and you're going to want to further your story a lot down there. And it was a good amount of time. Not to mention, there was that nice, cool, like tunnel that you could hide in. There were seats and they kept giving you all the free water you wanted. It was cool. It was kind of my first time ever feeling like a VIP, you know, in Disney or Galaxy's Edge or almost in any sense. Oh, and also you guys have to remember too that riding the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run and also Rise of the Resistance, those were things that those were tasks that you had to complete for different missions to help the different characters. So that made the attractions a part of your adventure, that you had to smuggle some coaxium to help the captain. So how was the lightsaber training? Was I pleasantly surprised with the lightsaber training? And the answer is yes, I was. And I was hoping that it was much more fun to experience than it was to see Josh D'Amaro doing in the footage, and I was right. That when you're there and it's dark and we heard Yoda's voice,
May the Force be with you.
I thought the idea of the lightsaber training shields was brilliant. And so rather than your shipmates kind of standing there waiting their turn to do the lightsabers, this made it really more fun and gave you more to do when you were trying to catch the blasters and shielding them with this, rather than just waiting your turn. So that was a pretty neat idea I think Disney came up with. You know, I think so we all cycled through and we used the Force. Again, it was super fun to experience in person. A lot like Savi's workshop. You know, you can watch videos of people building and seeing the lights change and hearing about lightsabers and the Jedi, but actually being there and experiencing it is a much different thing. And that's probably the take home I want to send you guys away from this video with, is that I can have filmed everything to share with you guys as best I can, but there's still a lot to surprise you with the feelings you get in actually being immersed in it and feeling it for yourselves. I set up the cameras on these tripods so I could enjoy it, have fun with my shipmates and my son. You know, but was the lightsaber training technically revolutionary? Like, maybe not, but it's the only one of its kind, and it was really fun to experience. We all had a good time. Nobody was disappointed in in our cabin about it. It was tricky and challenging, and the Saja was super believable. She was really into it and made the experience. How committed and enthusiastic your Saja is going to be is really going to reflect how good of a time that you have.
I wish you safe journeys and true adventures.
And now we go down to bridge training, which is also half of a show because I think the captain and Sammy the mechanic, they're around and there's all this stuff going on. But the bridge training was also very surprising. It was fun, it was immersive. You know, Sammy the mechanic was kind of orchestrating everybody, and there were several different sections you went to, and each having its own different game. One of the coolest games was when you were operating the shields for the ship, and there's this big round table, and it was crazy. You were steering a shield to deflect all these lasers coming at you, but it whirled around the entire table. You weren't limited to your own little pizza slice of the game board. I was so surprised by that, I didn't realize it. That was the shield section, and then another section was operating the blasters on the ship, and another section was when two people as a team would fly a droid and then grab and pick up these crates of like supplies. And having been a gamer for like most of my life, I assumed that because the bridge was separated into left and right sections, so I thought that when you were working with your teammate, that your own little droid flying in space could only stay on your half of the bridge screen, but it couldn't. It could go the entire length of the bridge. It was like crazy. It went super long. And I have to hand it to Disney. I think that they were really creative and innovative with all the different sections of the bridge training.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, and then down, you know, both like that. There we go, got it. Okay, front, center.
Now, I remember seeing Josh D'Amero showing us the bridge training, and it looked very kind of cheesy, like an arcade game, and they kept shooting TIE fighters. So during the bridge training, I kept expecting like, okay, when the bad guys coming, they don't come. Okay, that's later. This is really just bridge training. And so they were all the exercises that you do are like training exercises to prepare you for the fun adventure at the end. And I forget if it was once or twice, but a couple lucky members of your bridge training get to put the ship into hyperdrive. That was really cool to see. For all of you guys who are going to be going on the trip, it was really challenging to film yourself and film your team. You kept moving around different sections, and I kept having to set up my camera on a tripod in different areas to try to capture the best I could of the experience. Saw R2-D2 and C-3PO talking to us. It was great to see them. That added some magic to the experience too.
Yes, I am C-3PO, human-cyborg relations.
I'll say it again, that it's way more fun to do it and experience it in person than it was to kind of see Josh do it on the promotional videos.
Yeah, we got it! We got it! Do this!
Okay, so let's get to the big question. Is this experience worth $6,000? I'm gonna have to say no. But let me explain. Okay, that again, I mentioned before, it's really important to keep in mind this is like less than a 2-day experience. All the food you can eat, excellent food, excellent service, includes your room, includes tickets to Galaxy's Edge and Disney World, and taking in consideration all the entertainment and the actors who are acting like all day long. $6,000, I still feel like is an exorbitant price. Let's pick a different question. Let's word it like, is this experience appropriately priced? And let's look at it from not one large price tag, but look at it as like a price per person, because Landon and I, we each paid about $1,500 per person. And that included trip insurance too. This is just for the experience, not for the hotel or the flight and stuff like that. So is it appropriately priced at $1,500 for 2 nights and almost 2 days with your food and entertainment? I'm gonna say yes. Yes, it is. And I would not do this experience with just Landon and I alone. If we do this again, I'm always going to try to find others to split the cost of the room. That really brings in the value, brings the price down per person per day. I think it becomes more justifiable. It's all about the attitude you bring. Are you going to enjoy it? Can you enjoy the sequel films? Can you immerse yourself in them? And I did feel like it was a Star Wars experience. It had to come full circle, had to come on the second night, seeing Rey and Kylo Ren, and after we saw C-3PO and Hondo Ohnaka and all these familiar faces, finally made it really feel like a Star Wars adventure. And also, I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed, it was a lot of new characters to take in all at once between the director and the captain and the manager and the engineer. But thankfully we had Chewie to kind of balance it out a little bit. And seeing Chewbacca in person is pretty awesome. He commands a lot of attention when he enters the room. A tip for any of you who are going on the Starship, you can either enjoy yourself or you can film it. I recommend enjoying yourself and doing a little bit of filming and pictures. I want to do it again. I want to try a different path. I would definitely go back if maybe like in a few years, if they change the story or there's a change in characters and there's something that brings me back to the ship, I would definitely go investigate that for sure. So guys, thank you so much for joining me in this video. Definitely comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Take care and be kind to one another and make sure to have an awesome Star Wars day. Thanks guys. See you later.